This is rendering for um, evening wear materials, and as you can see, I already did face and some skin tone, and in a second I'll explain you why. So my rendering, um, for this part I want to do lace, and that's why I did skin tone. For this part, I want to do satin rendering, and for this part, I'm gonna do some feathers. So when we approach lace, usually lace is lined with a skin tone lining, so it looks like skin. So for that, while you're doing your skin tone, you already put some of the skin tone down. So I'm gonna try to do all with blue tones, and for that um, I'm gonna have this monochromatic, a little bit like um, 30s inspired look. So over here I'm gonna just put a little bit light blue, and as you can see, I'm doing a little bit in diagonal kind of movement, and now I'm gonna put some scallops on this part. Actually, maybe I'll do it here too, so it's a little bit more obvious. And then same thing under breast, you can shade. Under the rib cage, you can shade a little bit, because it's cylinder form, so a little shade here, then it goes light, and then a little shade here, so it's like this. But now let's do lace first, so we kind of get a concept how to do it, and then we'll get to next textures. So for lace, what I want to do is I want to have that nude part, and then B, the scallops, they look, everything look more like lace. So I'm gonna just take I did that little light tone. Now I'm gonna take my Prisma and just kind of emphasize the scallops. Then lace usually has double edge, so I'm doing second one like kind of double edge. And what we want to do is in this part have a little bit of cross hatching, which is this very thin line that goes diagonally in one way, and then we're gonna do in the other way. This creates that tulle texture that's underneath every lace pattern, that kind of meshy, lacy effect. So having that, now I'm gonna add my diagonal kind of botanical print. Depending on your lace, you'll have some sort of pattern. In my case, I'm doing a little bit this botanical. All the lace pattern, it kind of goes in a diagonal form. So that's what I'm using. Make sure you have a lace reference so everything looks more realistic, and it's very close to your swatch. So I did kind of my base now, and then I used light marker, light Prisma, light blue Prisma. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to use a little bit darker blue Prisma to emphasize the areas that I want to, because we want to pop our pattern. We don't want it to kind of stay in the shade, right? So now I'm going with my darker, kind of like more of a navy color, and I'm going to emphasize the areas that I like to be more kind of poppy. And then what's very characteristic to lace is this kind of a little like a spider leg type of fuzz at the edges. It's like chenille lace, French lace. And that when you do that, it makes it very lacy. So it immediately reads like a lace pattern. Also, I want to emphasize a little bit of my botanical pattern. Maybe not everywhere, but more in the area that's highlighted, meaning like maybe on this side a little bit more than on that side. It serves two purposes, so it saves you time, and at the same time it kind of makes your illustration more dynamic. So it's not everything equal. And now we can emphasize a little bit more the shadows. So under the breast, this part I'm gonna do a little bit more shadows. That's why I didn't really needed to do a lot of rendering, and always try to look for shortcuts to save yourself time. And to pop it a little bit more, I'm gonna add just white gel pen, or if I would really want, I can use my Doc Martens white. So, but I feel I don't really need it. I can just kind of get away with this. And if I want to emphasize a little bit more that tulle mesh, I can go in and just slightly emphasize the under texture, so it will read. Sometimes you will have more of a raised texture on your lace. In that case, you can again take your dark tone Prisma or marker and just pop those elements with the contrast of white and blue. And sometimes you might even see it on the side texture, so you can always use that side texture effect. I actually feel like I need to add a little shine on her lips and face before we move on to do different things. Okay, so now I'm going to approach and do the satin skirt. So I'm gonna just move slightly my drawing up so it will have that. Actually, to start with, I'd like to do a base, and it's always nice to use like the transparent color. So the reason I want to do it this time is because it just wets the paper and it will help us to blend colors more into each other, and especially in highlighted areas. I don't need to do it all over, but I feel I need just in this area to have a little bit more. And then I'm gonna use my lighter color and kind of start my satin. With satin, you want to leave a lot of highlights. You can even draw it in the beginning, so you know exactly where to put your highlights. Satin is very, very shiny fabric, so don't be afraid to have all the highlights. And in certain parts it goes actually very dark. Those are two things. Another characteristic element for satin is that it's very liquid, it's very soft. It looks very soft, not angular, so you want to make sure to not have any sharp edges. Everything is flowing, everything is, imagine it's like water, so it's very flowy. It's like a liquid on the body, so nothing too sharp, nothing edgy. And that's one of the allures of silk, satin. You don't have all that, all those sharp edges, so that's kind of what you want to showcase in this fabric. What I want to do is I want to, so I did my lightest color. Now I want to blend it in again with the edges specifically, and overall I just want to make it a little bit more moist. My paper, blend in the colors. Now I want to add my darker tones, because you know, you have such shiny fabric, you're going to have darker tones for sure. So you have this. And make sure everything is very smooth, very liquidy looking. So with this, I'm back with my lighter tone. I'm blending in all the contrast edges. I mean, you do want to get that contrast to make it high shine, high satin, but at the same time, you want to keep your liquidness intact. You don't want to make it sharp, and nothing sharp in this fabric. Everything is smooth.